Hey guys, it's Logan. So this is the debate. I'll be debating as to whether or not a prisoner should go to prison and if prisons actually serve a purpose. I'm going to start going off the cost. So depending on where you live, if you live in Maine or in California, the cost of housing an inmate per year is a total financial burden. For instance, if you live in Maine, the cost to house a prisoner there for 1 year is roughly $31,000. In California, again, depending on the location, it's roughly $60,000. So just doing a quick math here, $60,000 for estimating 1,000 inmates in a prison system, that comes out to be $60 million of taxpayers' money that we have to afford every year. That's a lot of money for anybody. Not to mention that the 77% of inmates that are released from prison typically go back to prison within 3 years of their release date because they've done something again and they go back, essentially. One way how we can kind of counteract that to make it to where prison itself can play a little bit more vital key into helping individuals is through the rehabilitation process. They need to become more productive members of society, offering educational, vocational schools to where they have those necessary tools and or skills to come out and be productive members of society. Not to mention too, I think one big thing is to be some sort of mentorship program, because if you are a mentor and you are addressing a younger audience, a younger crowd, basically you're kind of the voice. You're the voice of impact. You're the one person that these at-risk individuals can look up and you can help them. One country that really stood out to me was Norway. For instance, Norway has a 20% recidivism rate. Basically what that means is that 20% of the population that is released from prison end up going back to prison. That is a much better number than what the US has at 77%. So for instance, just rounding up 77% to 80%, so 8 out of 10 inmates that are released from prison go right back into prison. Whereas Norway, 2 out of 10. That's a huge number. The reason why Norway is so particularly amazing at this is because they look at the crime rather than the individual. They look at the crime, try to figure out what happened, what it is. They work with that individual. They work with that person. So they don't necessarily judge the person, they judge the crime. Which, compared to the US, that's a totally different issue. Another reason why I think going to prison is a bad idea is because it just pollutes the prison more. And prison doesn't really hold that same effect that it would when it was many years ago. The US has seen a 500% increase since 1980. That's huge, and a lot of that is due to drugs. Not to mention that the United States, during that time frame, the 1980 to 2010 roughly, is seeing another 222% increase, because the reason for that is they've added on time. So the inmate somehow, some way, was acting up, and eventually they got in trouble and just got more time tacked on. So that also leads to prison overcrowding and leads to multiple slew of other issues as well. What we're also seeing too in the prison system is the youth. Youth has actually been increasing over time. It's been increasing over the prison. Basically, they go to the prison. They go to prison. They go and sorry. Hi, buddy. Okay, hang on, buddy. Hang on. So they go to prison, and basically what happens is that they're replaced by other people doing the same thing. And the unfortunate part about this is that they're looking for ways to have more money. They want to make some extra cash, and so it's an ongoing cycle. And I call that the broken society. that's my debate right now, and I appreciate it, and look forward to the rebuttal. Thank you.